I don't want to set the world on fire. In my heart I have but one desire, and that one is you.
Prepare to tune in. To tune in to the past. To tune in to the Electric Eye radio shows. Old time radio. Welcome to the Electric Eye radio show. I'm your host for this evening's program, Beezle Alhazred. Tonight's show is the seminal rebirth show of the Electric Eye radio show. If you have, by chance, taken the time to listen to the pilot episode that we released a couple weeks ago, we give a little bit more of our origins there. The show used to be on radio. I've worked with Jeffrey Pritchett. I kind of dropped away from the show for a while, decided to pick it up again here on podcast form through Spreaker. And, we're going to see what happens. I really enjoy doing radio. I really enjoy podcasting. One of my favorite things is to become informed and to try to inform other people of the things that I find out about. The show typically is going to revolve around parapsychology, true crime, and occultism. Those are three topics that are really important to me in life and three things that I've been interested in for as long as I can remember. And tonight's show is going to be, we kind of ran into a bit of a snafu. Originally, our original plan was to have Jeffrey Pritchett on. Jeffrey Pritchett is the host of the Church of Mavis radio show. He's a guy that I've worked with for about 6 years over there at that show, 5 or 6 years. And we ran into some problems, some tech problems with Skype. Apparently something went wrong with my account. They weren't able to unlock it. It's been several days. They're still having problems with their own tech, and they just aren't responding very well. So we decided to just go with it. And since this is a variety show, we might just have a guest. We might have a guest host, or it might just be me talking to you guys, depending on what's going on for the week and what I feel is appropriate for the time. And so there's that. Astrology is another passion of mine. I am a licensed natal astrologer. I've been practicing astrology for, I'd say, close to maybe 24 years, something like that. I've done quite a few natal charts in time. I've done many handmade charts, many computer-generated charts, and a little bit of everything in between. So astrology as a topic has kind of brought itself to the forefront of the show this evening because all of these problems with communication directly with Skype, with the radio show here, and the difficulties that were kind of dropped on us concerning that got me thinking. Because all of this happened shortly before Mercury went into retrograde, just a few days before that. And usually about the 10 days or so before Mercury goes into retrograde, it's kind of like a kettle coming to boil. Everything's kind of getting jostled around. There's a lot of transformations occurring around us, and it's just kind of getting ready to activate. So now, Mercury being in retrograde has really become quite a buzzword, like a buzz phrase. So, I mean, what does it mean? What is the big deal? Like, why are suddenly people so affected by this? And why has it become such a topic? Mercury going into retrograde has occurred long before people even tried to define astrology, or they were even aware of the celestial bodies that make up astrology as we know it today. And so it's always been there, I guess, if you look at it from an astrological point of view. So, some people say, astrology is nonsense. There's not much to it, or, how can we be affected by celestial bodies in space, and what does it really have to do with me, and all these other types of things. But a lot of the times, these same people might take a look at it and realize that it does relate to them on some levels. So we're just going to go ahead quickly and define astrology so we can kind of get a good idea of maybe how this works. So astrology is a noun, the study of the movements and relative positions of celestial bodies, interpreted as having an influence on human affairs and the natural world. So that's pretty heavy, right? I mean, you don't really have to believe in anything in order for it to have an effect on you. You know, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there, and just because you acknowledge it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Now, I don't spend very much time defending my models that I use to try to define things or interpret ideas or to make sense out of the world, but astrology is just that. It's a model like many others that can be used in a lot of different ways. Astrology has a predictive value, meaning that you can turn the wheel, spin the dial around to a point where you can move backwards and forwards in time to see the positions of the celestial bodies in conjunction with Gaia, the planet that we're standing on, and just see what was happening. You can go forward into a time and say you're getting married, or you're planning a trip, or you're trying to get a job or something like that. You can go forward in time to the time that you're going to your interview and see what's happening on that day. Maybe it would be a great day for communication, maybe it's a good day for success and expansion, or maybe it's not. In any case, I am not someone who typically lets the fates determine my course of action, because sometimes you just have to do things no matter what, regardless of how the sign or what the signs are pointing to. I mean, there's the off chance that it might just go well, even if the readings look bad. I mean, you can't really shun away from everything, and sometimes you just have to face the facts and rely on your own wherewithal and resourcefulness and to get you through any situation. Now, a lot of the time, I like to. It's great to use astrology in a predictive fashion to kind of get a forecast, like an astrological forecast, so that you can see possibly how things might turn out. But ultimately, I like to use astrology in a way that's more geared towards personal assessment and understanding yourself, understanding different patterns that occur in your life, different reoccurring things that happen in your life, and also a lot of the ups and downs and maybe blocks or even successes, things that lead to success and failure in your life. And by analyzing your astrology chart, you can go through and see where you could have problems, where you can improve, and then what you can do to kind of blur the technicolor a little bit in your advantage. So, I mean, in the name of self-help, it doesn't hurt, to understand, and one of the most important laws to me is to know thyself. Because if you don't know yourself, then how are you going to know anything? So we'll leave that up to you. If you are a believer in astrology, that's fine. If you aren't, that's fine also. I mean, I am a skeptical believer, and even though I believe in the possibility of just about anything, I need some proof. And actually, sometimes I need a lot of proof. But over time, I have found that in my mind and in my experience, astrology is effective and it is valid in a lot of ways. So let's move on a little bit to Mercury Retrograde. I've looked around and I've dug up some pretty great articles here about some of this information that I'm going to share with you guys. So here we go. This article is by Susan Miller, written on April 19, 2016. So here we go. You may have heard friends say, "Oh no, Mercury is about to retrograde again." If you don't know astrology, you may have wondered what they were talking about. Of all planetary aspects, this one seems to garner the most attention from readers, and it certainly generates the most mail for this particular author. The reason for their interest is clear. The phenomena is one of the few that affects everyone in a fairly uniform way. and its effects are always obvious. Once you begin to pay attention to how events in your life change during these phases, you will soon see how important it is to take note of them. Keeping track of Mercury retrograde periods can allow you to increase your productivity and avoid at least some of the frustration they can bring about. Let's look closely at Mercury retrograde and what it means to you. So in 2016, according to this article and my own calculations, we experienced Mercury retrograde between January 5th and January 25th. And it began in Aquarius and it ended in Capricorn. We experienced this on April 28th and May 22nd, and in both times it began and ended in their sign Taurus, which is very strange. Then on August 30th to September 22nd is what we're experiencing now, is in the Earth sign Virgo. And then the last time we will experience this for this year is going to be December 19th through January 8, 2017. Once again, it begins in the Earth sign Capricorn and ends in the fire sign Sagittarius. So we'll get back to the article now. And the article continues to say, does Mercury really move backwards? No, it doesn't. Mercury doesn't actually move backwards. If you do a bit of stargazing, you will see that Mercury appears to move backwards, just as the ancient astrologers perceived thousands of years ago. After a while, in Mercury's case, a 3.5-week period, the planet will reverse itself and move forward again. Because Mercury is a planet situated closest to the Sun, its orbit is much shorter than Earth's, about 3 or 4 times a year. Mercury speeds past Earth, and that is when we experience a Mercury retrograde period. If you were in a car and another car passed you, you could tell it was going faster than you. But if it slowed down and then you passed it, it would appear that the car was actually going backwards. Then when the other car speeds up and passes you again, it kicks up all the dust in the road. As Mercury speeds by, it is like a train flying past, creating a powerful turbulent gust of wind in its wake. The turbulence and disruption Mercury creates when it retrogrades can affect what we all feel in our everyday lives. In astrology, we always believe that the following rule is true. As above, so too below. By that we mean there is a fractal relationship between the orbits in the heavens and human activity down here on Earth. This idea pervades all of astrology and is a very good concept to keep in mind. Areas of life Mercury rules. Mercury rules all types of communication, including listening, speaking, learning, reading, editing, researching, negotiating, selling, and buying. Mercury also rules all formal contracts and agreements, as well as important documents such as book manuscripts or term papers, agreements, deeds, contracts, leases, wills, and so forth. Included under this planet's domain are all types of code, including computer codes, as well as transportation, shipping, and travel. When this planet retrogrades, these areas tend to get scrambled or spin out of control. Why does this happen? Well, when a planet retrogrades, astrologically it is in a resting or sleeping state. Therefore, while Mercury naps, the activities that it governs don't have the benefit of a well-functioning, wide-awake planet to supervise them. Expect a certain danger of pandemonium to ensue. So it seems by this definition that at the time that Mercury is in retrograde, it's not functioning at its fullest capacity, or it's not projecting or exuding the same amount of energy that it would normally when it is not in retrograde. So part of the things that concerns people the most about Mercury retrograde in particular is the things that happen, of course, how it affects you, like and what we've said, the categories of life that Mercury potentially rules over. So what we have here is also a short list of what you should and should not do during a Mercury retrograde phase. So the article continues on to say, don't make any important moves when Mercury is retrograde. Nothing will be settled successfully for the future during these periods anyway. You'll find it nearly impossible to nail down a plan. During a retrograde period, it is hard to get decisions from others. Even if a decision is made, it will be subject to change, either just after